Let's talk about all the different components of a Fabric data agent. I call it the kind of the anatomy of a Fabric data agent. And I know there's a lot on this slide. I've tried to simplify this as much as I can. There's a few different pieces to this, and I think it's good to walk through this so that you can understand what we're dealing with here. And so at the highest level, the first piece to talk about is this. If we're talking anatomy, we want to understand where the brain is. And the brain really is this AI or LLM layer that is going to orchestrate and leverage generative AI to work with our data. And it's leveraging all the Azure OpenAI APIs under the hood and behaves like an agent, right? And so it processes those user questions. It determines the most relevant data source to use if there's multiple that you've chosen. And it invokes the appropriate tools to generate, validate, and execute queries along the way. You don't need to supply your own API keys or anything like that. Fabric just uses Microsoft's managed Azure OpenAI Assistant to handle all that authentication and so on for you. So the next piece, the number two over to the left side, is all the data sources or kind of the body of knowledge. You can add these data sources that we mentioned a minute ago and the ones that are shown here on the screen as sources, and you can actually see the processing occurring as you're asking your questions. You can even see the queries that it is issuing down to your semantic model or to your warehouse or lakehouse as well. And so then we get to aspects of the nervous system along the way, kind of all the multi-step processes of, hey, I've got a user asked a question, I've got a question to parse and validate, I've got to check my data sources, I've got to generate my queries, I've got to validate and execute those queries and so on. And all of those are kind of part of that pipeline. And with those queries, there's some built-in intelligence for natural language. It converts it to SQL queries. There's natural language. It converts it to DAX. Natural language, it converts these queries or these natural language queries to KQL queries for their KQL database. So there's lots of different things that are really happening under the covers that is interesting in the sophistication of these data agents. And so we go through, we validate and execute those queries. And then we're also weaving in, as part of that, any instructions that we have given to the overall agent. So there's an instructions dialogue that we load up instructions for, provide more context and more coaching to the data agent to make sure that if there is a question about this, or that we make sure we specify the prioritization of it and so on. And instructions are very important. If any of you have created any type of agent before, this paradigm exists in other agent authoring environments as well. And then we have the security layer. So this is kind of the immune system from a Fabric data agent perspective, right? Fabric data agents respect all of the row level security, column level security, and those types of things that you already have in place with your data platform. Data agents respect that, and they just sit on top of that. Access is provided through Entra ID, and the agent can only surface data to the user that user has access to. Just know that all of that work that you have done implementing those security models, Fabric data agents does respect that security piece. The last thing here is around the integration and publishing layer and where you can publish these data agents to. And yes, data agents can be available to people that are using Fabric, but when you publish it, it enables its MCP protocol. So you can publish it out to M365 Copilot and Teams. And then these agents can then be consumed by other agents, whether you've created these other agents in Azure AI Foundry or custom applications as well. So this is just a quick tour around the anatomy of how these agents are formulated and what goes on in this particular context of Fabric data agents.